Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. We are coming up to the end of quarter one of the year, and I wanted to set up my second quarter spread in my common planner with you guys, just so you can kind of see what I'm going to be changing. And yeah, I need to get this done and I wanted to share it with you guys. So this is the current quarterly spread that I am working with. I am not going to be changing anything about this side. So I'll go through this fully again with you here. I did this before in my original setup video, but this will be solely dedicated to the quarterly pages. So I'm going to try to go a little bit more in depth if I can. But on this side, I am not going to be continuing with the how did I spend my time tracking in this kind of like indexy type layout. So in the second quarter, I'm going to be changing this up to doing I'm going to be splitting these columns in half. And again, I'm going to try to explain this as best I can as I go, because I know it can be really confusing trying to watch stuff like this. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in. We're going to start on the left side of the page, finish this setup on this side, and then move over on this side for quarter two. So starting off, I am going to go ahead and divide the page in half. So I'm going to take a gray fine liner and just kind of draw a straight line all the way down through half the page. One thing that I really do love about the common planners is it has these guideline dots that are really incredibly helpful when it comes to drawing these type of lines. Next, in the priority section here, I'm going to divide this into a this quarter kind of section, which is going to have a list of tasks that I'm going to be using for the quarter. And then on this side, it's going to be my quarter in review. So if we want to jump back again to the one I did for the first quarter, I have my task list here, which I referenced from my goals pages, which I'm going to be doing the same thing again. And then my in review is blank because we are not quite to the end of the quarter yet, and I want to make sure I have everything finished out before I write the review. The marker that I am using is the Pentel Sign brush pen. I believe these are the 𝗏𝘂𝗏 ones. They are the original batch that came out. I know they have some newer ones that don't have the brush tip, but these are the brush tipped ones, and this one is in the color black. To fill out the top section of my quarterly page, so this section right here, I am going to re-reference my goals pages. Like I said, I spent a lot of time setting these up at the beginning of the year, and I want to make sure that I'm staying on trend with my quarterly goals. Again, this is a feature in the common planner. I decided to use it how it was meant to be used, breaking down different goals by time of year or weeks or months or quarters. So I'm going to reference my quarterly column here and fill in my section up here. So after referencing my quarterly goals, I have tasks like budget check-in, which is basically a quarterly check-in with my budget, make sure I'm on track. I want to read 6 books per quarter this year, which I already did really well in the first quarter, and I'm hoping in the second quarter I can keep that up. I need to plan a trip to visit my mom. Going camping is something I'm really trying to do more of this year, so that's also on my list for this quarter. And then every quarter I'm going to try to make a new cultural dish in my home. Last quarter I made a Colombian dish called sudado, and it was delicious. So hopefully this quarter I think we're going to try something a little bit more Middle Eastern, maybe even like a za'atar bread, or maybe making some kind of Indian dish. Then I also want to keep up with my tarot practice, which, if I'm being honest, I've been slacking on. So I'm going to try to do a quarterly tarot reading. And then this quarter also I celebrate my birthday. So in April I will be getting 1 year older. So I do want to include that in my quarterly things. The next few things that I'm going to do on this side are mainly for the monthlies here. So I have April, May, and June. I'm going to continue to use those Pentel Sign brush pens and just kind of head out these sections. So it's a little bit bolder, catches my eye, and honestly, I just like using fun colors. And I actually combine all of my planners to use kind of a similar color scheme per month. So I have designated colors per month that I try to reference just to make it easier for me to remember what I'm doing for each month. So for April, I'm using a new color to these pens, and it is the light violet color. Honestly, one of my absolute favorites. And since April's my birthday month, I picked it because it's so pretty, right? May, I'm using the color called Coral Orange. I believe this was also part of a newer set for these pens. And again, it's a really nice kind of warm, corally, buttery color. And the last color I used, I believe, is the light blue. I honestly don't have the label for this pen anymore. I have used it so long. But it is a nice kind of shading blue color, actually. It has shading when you write in big blotchy writing. I would say I use these pens mainly instead of the Tombow 𝗏𝘗 brush pens for this because they are incredibly inky. I don't have any problems with the bleed through on the Tomoe River paper, but I do find that these pens last me a lot longer than the Tombow 𝗏𝘏 brush pens, even though I do like the tips on the 𝗏𝘏 brush pens a little bit better. The last things I'm going to do on this side of the page is mainly just add a little bit of decoration. So I'm going to take some washi tape. This one is from London Gifties, and kind of layer it with some of the grade washi tape I have. I honestly have quite a few that I don't remember where all I got them from, so sorry. But yeah, I'm going to try to decorate it just a little bit so it adds a little bit more depth to the page. And lately I've really been enjoying ripping my washi tape to where it's skinnier and looks kind of more rough. I just find that this is more fun when layering as well. It just, I don't know, it adds to it in a way. By the way, I got this washi tape holder from Michael's. Okay, so I'm going to stop here now and go ahead and move on to the right side of the page. This is where it's going to be a little bit more of a setup process just because I do a lot more information and I have a lot more that I want to do on this side this month. So first off, last quarter I was doing a stats by month up here. I may continue that, but I want to focus on the actual indexing side of things here. So I'm going to cut these columns in half using, again, that gray fine liner. This is my favorite. I have like, I don't know, a whole box of these that I use. I use them so much that I just go through them. And my intentions for this is basically I'm going to do some habit tracking on this side, and then on this side it's going to be a list of all of my important tasks or holidays or birthdays or whatever on this side here. So starting off, I'm going to go ahead and do all of my events and stuff on all 3 months, and then I will come back and show you guys the habits. Okay, so I have gone ahead and filled out all of my important dates. It's mainly astrological information, birthdays, and like holidays. I will add throughout like the months if anything comes up important, like, you know, if any new things pop up for like my family, if we're going somewhere, vacation, whatever, I'll add it in later. But I want to talk about the habits that I want to track first. So I talked about in probably my last 2 common planner videos about the, I don't know, challenge that I'm doing to kind of put everything into one book. So I'm going to track mainly my health habits up here that I track in my health planner, since I'm adding more and more things from that planner into this one. I don't think I'm ever going to have just one planner, but I'm trying to challenge myself to see if I can even do it and be comfortable with it. So the habits that I really want to track are my gym practice, if I'm going to the gym that day, if I have gone on a walk or done some other kind of exercise like yoga, or I did a lot of like heavy labor in our property. I also want to track if I'm doing my running, since I have a goal to run a 10K this year. And then I also want to do my vegetarian eating habits, my meditation practice, and that's all the space that I really decided to leave. I left 5 habits, but I was given a really good tip that you could easily do dots on top of the Monday or number, like the weekday or the number list on these, just because they are pretty neutral. There's no background to those. You could easily just put a whatever color dot marker you want on top of that, color it in, what have you, to add a couple of more habits if you needed to. Then to make it match, I'm going to go ahead and do a 3-letter abbreviation of the month right next to the habit, just because I really like the way that looks and it ties in both sides of the page. Now, I'm not going to put the same tasks or habits that I'm going to try to keep track of each month down yet for May or June, just in case I decide after doing this for 1 month in April that I want to change up what I'm tracking here. When I've done habit trackers before, I've made the mistake of putting down the same habits for every single month for an entire year and realized my habits changed, and I was literally just really bored with checking off the same things that I had already created a habit for. So I'm going to leave these 2 blank just in case I decide to come up with some new habits I want to keep track of for May or June, or if I even just want to give up on this layout entirely, kind of like I did on the first quarter. The last section on the quarterly pages is kind of like this blocky section down here, and I'm honestly going to continue what I did on the first quarter, which is do a kind of memory synopsis of the month. So I usually pick my top 3 or top 4 memories, whatever I can fit, with using like icon stickers and just having a little bitty blurb of like what happened. And I would say that I really like having this as a snapshot view, because I don't always have this kind of view in like a monthly thing or even a weekly thing. And lastly, just to kind of tie in what I did with my washi tape over here, I'm going to add a little bit of washi tape on this side as well, just so it is a little bit more cohesive between the 2 pages. Alrighty, so in review, I am going to be doing a review at the end of this quarter. I kept up with my quarterly kind of check-in up here, or check-in goals for the goal spread that I made at the beginning of the year. I'm pulling from this onto here so I can see it in a more small view of what I need to get done this quarter. I'm still going to be keeping up with my this month, which is kind of like intentions, or kind of like a little paragraph to myself, like, hey, this is what I want you to get done this month as top priority. And then in review, how did that go? Did I actually get this done or not? And then for the right side of the page, I am going to be doing those habits like I mentioned, since I'm trying to kind of challenge myself to limit what I am doing with my planners, like, because I do have several and I do love having several and I like the detail I can go into, but I want to see how much I can fit into one planner and if it would even work for me in a longer term kind of scenario. So habits, and then I have my events or birthdays or whatever on this column here, and I will add to this probably as the months go on because I forget and then go back and add things. And then I will be keeping up with my top memories of the month for each month in the quarter down here on the bottom section, just because I really enjoy seeing that. One thing that I'm kind of going to miss, I think, is the stats by month that I did for this quarter. It was really honestly nice to see a snapshot of all the things I had going on. I may continue this in another section. Maybe I'll put it over here somewhere if I have space. I don't know, but I really did enjoy seeing kind of like just a few things that I did per month and having a number attached to it, like pages read, how many workouts I did, how many miles I ran, how many times I ate out at a restaurant, whatever. So overall, I'm really kind of glad I'm giving up on this because it was really time consuming, and honestly, when I like got sick or when I just wasn't in my planner every single day, it was really difficult to go back and kind of figure out, okay, what exactly did I do during the day? Like, what was my time frame like? Because that's what I was tracking here was my time. Maybe this would be easier to do in a simpler version. I don't know, but I think this was just too much for what I was trying to do, even though it does look kind of cool to see it mostly filled out. I still have a week left or so of March, so yeah. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for watching, for joining me here today. If you have any questions about the quarterly spread or how I'm using it, just let me know in the comments. I'd love to chat with you about it. love talking about planners in general, if I'm being honest. It's definitely my favorite hobby and honestly my business. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.